Hey, you guys, welcome to another episode of Chilindrinas Mas Finas. It's Nicole Coco Patrice. I am here today to react to, I meant to do a reaction to her, Erika Kirk, her original response or first statement after the murder of her husband, Charlie Kirk. And then since there has been the memorial service, which I haven't watched at all. I did watch the original statement that she released after his death. And then I did watch her full speech. And so that prompted me to do this video. So I don't think I'm going to react to the whole thing. I did want to pull up highlights, though, of the other speakers. But we're going to just go ahead and get started with Erika Kirk at the memorial service, because there's a few things I wanted to talk about from that. And actually, before we get into that, I did want to just give a little bit of facts about Erika Kirk, nay Erika Lane Fronsby. So just a little bit of her from Wikipedia. She was born November 20th, 1988. I am an Astro girl, and I should know this off the top of my head. I would say she is a Scorpio, like right on the cusp. Scorpio Libra. All right, let me figure this out. Yeah. Scorpio. I was right. Okay. So yeah, Scorpio. That makes a lot of sense. Those eyes are pretty intense. She definitely, and then it says 1988 is the year of the dragon. So a lot of strong energy there for sure. So it would have been in Aries. Oh yeah, she's just like full of fire here. Let me just see. So Aries moon waxing, okay. Scorpio sun. Grew up in Scottsdale, Arizona. I don't see where she was born. Her father is of Swedish descent, and her mother is Syrian, Lebanese, and Italian descent. She was raised Catholic, and with her mother taking her to soup kitchens to help. She entered beauty pageants as a way to contribute to the community. It says she attended Notre Dame Prep High School in Scottsdale and later Arizona State University. At Notre Dame, she played basketball and volleyball, earning the Matt Arnold Sportsmanship and Teammate Awards. She later played basketball on the women's team at Regis University in Denver, Colorado for 2 years. She participated in the Miss Arizona 2012 USA pageant, which she won on her 23rd birthday, and then represented Arizona in Miss USA 2012, but failed to place. In 2017, she attended Liberty University, where she obtained a Juris Master's degree and doctorate in Christian leadership. So she ain't new to this. She's true to this, as she has been recently named the CEO of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's former, his company, but obviously he's no longer in that position. So it says that 2019 she launched the podcast Midweek Rise Up, and is the CEO of Proclaim Streetwear, a clothing brand, and Bible in 365, a ministry project. As of 2025, she works as a real estate agent in the Corcoran Group in New York City. She began dating Charlie Kirk in 2019 and got engaged in 2020. Charlie co-founded Turning Point USA as an American organization that advocates for conservative politics. They married in May of 2021 in Scottsdale. Turning Point funded the wedding reception held at the Fairmont Scottsdale Princess Hotel, coinciding with the organization's 9th anniversary. Erika was frequently seen at Charlie's events. And of course, September 10th, 2025, he was assassinated while speaking at Utah Valley University, a stop in his American comeback tour. She subsequently gave a widely reported address from Turning Point USA headquarters, pledging to carry on her husband's activities. On September 18th, it was announced that she had been named the CEO of the organization. So I believe she was born in Scottsdale, Arizona. It just says Arizona. All right. Finally got a free chart here with the city, with Scottsdale, Arizona. So Sun in Scorpio to 28th degree, Moon in Aries at 20th degree, Mercury in Scorpio. So there you go, like right off the bat, intense, fire, like super intense right off the bat. So that explains a lot of her intensity, coming right out after, Charlie's passing. And then Venus in Libra is probably the only thing that's softening this chart up right here, because everything else is just outer planet. As far as outer planets, is still giving hardcore. And then Mars in Aries is gonna sync up with that moon. So yeah, y'all messed up. You guys really messed up. Whoever thought that, I mean, I hope whoever, did this didn't think it was going to end with Charlie, because this woman's chart says, let's go. Like, let's freaking go. Yeah, Sun in Scorpio is going to be super intense, and then the Mercury's right on top of it. So she says what she feels for the most part. Like she's gonna get, like, what you see from her is what you get. Like, it's not it's given. A lot of people keep saying, oh, she's acting, and she used to be an actress, but I don't know. I feel like, I mean, if anybody in her position would be rightfully angry, and it doesn't look like she has to put on an act for that. Like, if people are saying that she, I'm just putting the theories out here. I've seen people kind of implying that she has kind of set herself up here in this situation to become the CEO out of some sort of contriving, strategizing or manipulation or whatever. But it's like, if I were Charlie, I would want her to be in that position, because she is, she's not here for the games. So like I said, the Sun and the Mercury, like right on top of each other in Scorpio, are super intense, very transformative, super, she's gonna be super honest about like what she feels. And then the Moon in Aries, and of course Scorpio is very possessive, and it takes ownership of things. So I mean, you gotta think about her bonding with her husband in that company. Like, you're gonna have to pry it from her cold hands. Moon in Aries, and that Mars in Aries, Moon and Mars on top of each other, is definitely going to be an intense. That's the heart and the action, like the heart and like your feelings are moons, and then is your moon, and then your Mars is like how you get stuff done, like how you really attack. That's that war god. And so she's not gonna hold back. Venus and Libra, like I said, might be the only saving grace, because it's just her exterior is going to at least give on, like, what she attracts, and how she may love those more close to her, or how she may try to balance her fire, when she feels like, maybe I need to chill, maybe I need to embrace, maybe I need to love. Whenever that comes in, then she might take a little bit of time and think about it. But then also Libra can get down. Like, you guys are seeing a lot of Libras like tipping their scales back the other way right now. Cardi B is one of them. And it's like, I can play nice, I can be nice. But then once you've run out, once I see the scales are all, like, you got your hand on the scale over here, I am going to knock that mug back into position to balance it. And I don't care who gets it in the process. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this has been a long time coming. So, then that's her Venus. So like I said, that's really, she's only going to really give that when warranted, because that Mars and that Moon in Aries plus them Scorpio, Sun and Mercury are going to run the show. And depending on her rising sign too is going to play a lot into that. I do feel like and then she's got Pluto in Scorpio. So Pluto in Scorpio with your Sun, with your Mercury, yeah, she's not for play. Jupiter and Gemini, definitely would mean that she's going to like, talking to people, and that kind of makes her feel expansive. So being natural on stage, being out doing outreach, things like that kind of naturally fall into that. And then, like, I don't have her rising in her houses, but uh that would be interesting to see. Saturn and Capricorn right at home, so that's a plus. And then Uranus and Sagittarius, that's also, I think, a good placement for her. So yeah, this is Lilith and Virgo. Yeah, so Virgo is a perfectionist, serving perfectionist sometimes. And yeah, the Lilith there, yeah, I like this, the girl for the job. If you wanted somebody to take over Turning Point USA, this is your girl right here, because that chart is giving don't play. We're gonna turn this point, and I'll put a point to it if I have to. You know what I mean? So that I had to do that little chart reading. So let's get into the memorial speech. I just want to say, first off, a lot of people were criticizing the fireworks and things. Now, if Trump had anything to do with this, he's gonna go big or go home. So I would totally blame him for the fireworks. I don't know. Do some cultures celebrate celebrate their dead with fireworks? I don't know. she's got a few heritage there, so different heritages. So you might have to look into that. But I'm not surprised. I mean, this is this is I don't feel like you waste any tragedy, you don't waste any bad press, you don't waste anything. So I mean, this either way you guys are looking at it, like this was gonna happen this way. Like, I don't know how it wasn't. Like, if I'm Trump, I'm gonna use this as fuel to bring Christianity back into the forefront, to make my populist movement more rooted in religion if possible, and fire up that base, especially those who are on the fence and who are like not finding themselves in the Democratic Party and not finding God in the Democratic Party. Then why not take this opportunity and take Charlie's voice and his dreams and his aspirations and kind of pull them all into this moment and use the momentum. So I mean, yeah, this is the only way this is gonna go. Like, if you're mad, you're not understanding life and logic. I mean, I don't do fireworks at my memorial, but I'm just saying. I also want to talk about the choice to wear a white suit with a black blouse here. I think in the other video when she first made her comment, she wore white as well. So just noting that, I mean, of course, she's kind of bleach blonde, so it definitely doesn't wash her out. Uh, but it, I wouldn't have expected her, I don't think, to like wear black and show this as a moment of mourning. I think it's all kind of fitting into the the risen, saints kind of vibe, like this was our battle cry, and like we're turning up right now.
Hello. God bless all of you for coming here from all over the world to honor and celebrate my Charlie. He quoted one of his favorite Bible verses, Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8. Here I am, Lord. Send me. After Charlie finished, I met him backstage and I spoke to him, and I'll never forget this. I said, Charlie, baby, please talk to me next time before you say that statement. Because when you say something like that, there is so much power in that verse. When you say, here I am, Lord, use me, God will take you up on that. And he did with Charlie.
So this right here for me, like, I get what she's saying about, like, you know, please don't say that, because you have to understand the power of your words. But also, like, you knew this man was ready. I feel like from what she said before, ready to go in so many ways. He knew that. I mean, of course, if you saw what happened to Trump, and you've seen, what happens when people dare to face up with, this big suppressive force that's happening like right now with the mainstream media and leftists, and just the social anarchy that's kind of rising up from the left. You have to know that, losing one's life is potentially part of that sacrifice. And so I don't think she was necessarily surprised when he made the statement, depending on the timing of it. But I'm struggling with her framing of it here. I know, of course, during a speech, you want to include things and make them as dramatic as possible. Just like when she walked up and she kind of looked up right on the crescendo of the music, right? So there's definitely a lot of theater, is what I'm trying to say, at play here. Her pauses, her staring into the camera, but I don't think it's enough to say, well, this woman's just an actress, and then maybe she, had something to do with it, or she, I've seen these theories. I'm just letting you guys know what I've seen out here in the world that people are putting out there, and I just honestly still, it's enough for me to say she's an actress, or in a way, that this is theater. She knows what the moment is, but also a lot of this is just genuine stuff that you would do when you're trying to carry on someone's legacy, especially if you don't want it to happen in vain. Like I said, if you look at her chart, she's got a lot of very intense energy. She's if she went to school to study Christian, what was it? I forgot already, but it was like Christian theology or Christian leadership and biblical studies, advanced theological Christian leadership and biblical studies, and is working on her doctorate. So like she definitely, and then you think about, she was a pageant. So she's got all these parts that, will contribute to her being a poised speaker, being able to smile on cue, use her eye contact in certain circumstances, and really play to the emotionality of it all. So I just say that to say, like, there's a fine line between, like, someone being prepared for a moment to the point it almost seems completely rehearsed, or maybe even disingenuous. But I don't think she is disingenuous, just because, like I said, I'm looking at her chart, I'm looking at those energies, and then knowing, like, as a woman, like, I mean, I couldn't dare get up here and know that I did not care about my husband, or I, was in some situation where I compromised him, or I'm not telling the truth about what I think happened to him. But I'm not perfect. I don't know everything. So I think that is the explanation for why things feel so rehearsed and theatrical, is just because she's kind of been studying for this moment her whole life. And you can't really take points away from her for that she's primed for this, this moment.
When I saw that, it told me Charlie didn't suffer. Even the doctor told me it was something so instant that even Even if Charlie had been shot in the operating room itself, nothing could have been done. There was no pain, there was no fear, no agony. One moment, Charlie was doing what he loved, arguing and debating on campus, fighting for the gospel and truth in front of a big crowd. And then he blinked. He blinked and saw his Savior in paradise. And all the heavenly mysteries were revealed to him. God's love continued to be revealed to me in the days that followed. The next day on the tarmac in Air Force Two, I confronted Usha Vance, precious woman. I held her hand and I told her, honestly, I do not know how I am going to get through this. She told me something. She said, you know when you're on an airplane with your kids and it's the last 15 minutes of the flight and things are crazy, kids are not cooperating, toys are flying everywhere and everyone's screaming, and you think to yourself, I cannot wait for this flight to land. And it's 15 minutes before you land. And she told me, you will get through these 15 minutes and the next 15 minutes after that. Usha, I don't think you realized it then, but those words were exactly what I needed to hear. But most of all, God's mercy and God's love have been revealed to me these past 10 days. After Charlie's assassination, we didn't see violence. We didn't see rioting.
First, the Usha Vance moment. I myself think Usha is also like this perfect, like, second lady, like the smile, her poise, and then just hearing what she says that she told her in this really tough moment, just kind of all lines up with who I, think that woman presents herself to be in from what I can tell is. I think that just notable that, her husband's body was placed on Air Force Two. People are saying, it's just all very strange. I don't see why Trump or Vance or anyone in this cabinet would waste this moment. Whether it was foul play or someone had anything to do with it, I'm not going to get into the theories because there's just so much flying around and I have no idea. But what I do know is either way, you wouldn't waste this opportunity because honestly, Charlie Kirk was a big part of Trump's election. And this is, there's so much alignment happening in this moment, whether you believe in spirituality, Christianity, astrology, whatever, you cannot deny the alignments that are happening right now with this whole situation. Of course, people higher ups and those who take part in conspiracies and things like that know about alignments, know about astrology, know about symbolism, know about turning points, right? And how to capitalize on them. So there is also that. So, but I'm not either way. I'm not convinced of either scenario. But my point is that everyone is kind of exactly where they're supposed to be right now. Whether, and not to say that Charlie was supposed to die, but his death happened in a way that is now opening up all these other pathways. Whether someone could have predicted it or not is kind of what we all have to find out. I hate to be, so like neutral about it, but I have to, because I don't like jumping to conclusions, and I don't want to jump into any conclusions here. There's enough with Candace Owens going around. If you want to go see conclusions jump to, you can go you can go look at Candace Owens right now. Not saying that she's completely wrong either. Again, she also said something about why she wasn't here, saying that, because she knows that Trump's a Zionist, she wouldn't have been invited anyway. Of course, there's also theories going around that her and Charlie were not on speaking terms for months. I can't get to the bottom of that either. I don't have the time. It's so much. But it is kind of, plausible that, people just wanted to stay away from Candace, because Candace has also kind of gone too far, too fast, too deep. So anyway, it's all very, this is a crazy world of politics. But yes, this woman is a political figure. Erika Kirk is a political figure. So yes, she was on Air Force 2 with Usha Vance. Yes, they're positioning for her to possibly run for office, or Charlie was supposed to run for office. So, and I believe someone alluded to that he was in talks of it, or it was a thought that it may happen at some point in the near future, maybe 2028, maybe beyond. But this moment here is definitely setting up something big for 2028. Just go back.
We didn't see rioting.
My theory is also, with this whole far left socialism, anarchist, Marxist crap happening like worldwide, but like really igniting here, right in this very moment, coming to a head. I do feel like that comment there, this whole thing is really like a counter to that Marxist leftist uprising. Because if you tie people back down with a religion, if you're able to also put back the family unit, keep, the good old American values, the Bill of Rights, the Second Amendment rights. And then, like she just said here, we didn't go looting and doing all this other stuff, tearing up our city. Some people pointed out that Charlie Kirk and George Floyd have the same birthday, 20 years apart. I believe one was born in 73, one was born in 93. Charlie Kirk was born in 93. I think it was like October 14th or something like that, which would make them both Libras, I believe. The scales, if I'm not mistaken. So I do find that is interesting. That they share a birthday. No coincidences, guys. Definitely from a spiritual standpoint, that's very much telling. And again, like I said, higher ups know that these things, these coincidences are not coincidences, and that energy can be manipulated based on these influences and numerology and astrology, etc. But also, yeah, this is a setup for, look at us versus these leftist, godless, chaotic people who don't believe in law and order, who don't believe in family unit. So it's just really making that stark contrast between the right and the left. RFK's face right now, also very interesting. There's Tulsi. I don't know. Cash. Just looking at everybody's expressions here.
We didn't see revolution. Instead, we saw what my husband always prayed he would see in this country. We saw revival.
So another Christian call to action here. We didn't see revolution, we saw revival. That's again the stark contrast between the left and the right, between the social anarchists on the far left that are about tearing everything apart, including all American values, all law and order, and then the stark contrast with the right of people who are saying, no, we want order, we want law, we want God's law, we want God's commandments. Stark contrast.
This past week, we saw people open a Bible for the first time in a decade. We saw people pray for the first time since they were children. We saw people go to a church service for the first time in their entire lives. Every time you make a decision, it puts a mark on your soul. To those of you out there who just made that decision and took the first step toward a spiritual life, I say thank you and welcome. One day, I hope you look back and realize it was the most important decision of your life, because it is. All of you who are already believers, it is your job to shepherd these people. Do not take that lightly. Water the seed of their faith. Protect it and help it grow. He knew that faith was a habit. The more you live it, the more it grows. But know this too. The seed has only just been planted. The enemy will tempt you the most in a time like this one. God will always be there for you, but you must choose to mark your soul again and again in the direction of Christ.
This I would take for sure in the spiritual sense, in the biblical sense, but also I would take this in the political sense. Again, I'm really, harping on this because I want people to realize, from at least my intuition and what I'm seeing, putting it all together, this woman is a political and religious figure. We are uniting politics and religion because at this point, what else are we going to do? Because anarchy has become the religion of the left. No law, no religion, no God has become the religion of the left. And so the answer here is, we want you to be better than them. Don't take in their hate and their frustration and their violence and their rhetoric and become like they are. Be better, be the opposite. So, back to being the turning point, back to, and it's I just don't know how you can argue with any of this. Like, it's really all so ideally set up. Like, and I'm not saying to say again, this is a setup. I hate that it sounds like that. But I really think there is a lot of, spiritual, biblical alignment. Like the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is coming together to make this a perfect moment for Trump's administration and the right, or MAGA, or whomever is going to come out, and kind of really go, and take this thing to the next level down the road. Like, this isn't just about 2028. This is about 2028, but it's also about the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Charlie Kirk had the vision to go to these schools because of the fact that these children are the future. These college kids in their 19, 20, 21, 20, years old, 21, 22 years old, they are going to go out and vote. You know, they are going to, well, they already are, they should be. Then they're going to go out and work in politics, work in legislation, work in, you know, be in courthouses, be police, be policymakers, be judges and lawyers and doctors and, you know, professors, etc. So this is, you know, cultivating the next generation of minds. It is a direct spiritual counterattack to what the left has been doing. When you look at, like, you know, Chicago, on our level, local level, we have our Stacey Davis Gates, the president of the Chicago Teachers Union, who is constantly speaking at these different socialist events, speaking with socialist Marxist talking points, and is taking classroom time, teachers and students out of the classroom, using that time, that energy, our tax dollars and the teachers' dues and their confidence in her, and they're using it to feed this social Marxism and this machine that is looking to reap its benefits in the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So this is the counter to that. I don't know, like I said, I don't know how intentional any of this is necessarily, but these words in this speech are very intentional. So I can't, like, I'm not going to sit here and act like they didn't know what they were doing. This speech is very intentional for countering this Marxist mentality. Everything is directly up against its head.
Pray again. Read the Bible again. Go to church next Sunday and the Sunday after that.
And so, like she said, this isn't a revolution, it's a revival. Having Christianity and the teachings of the Bible be a revolution by being a revival, it says so much. Like, if you can't see that this is a spiritual war, like this, that's what they're really framing this as, the spiritual war that it's always been.
And break free from the temptations and shackles of this world. Being a follower of Christ is not easy. It's not supposed to be. Jesus said, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. He said he would be persecuted. He said we would be persecuted. And Charlie knew that and happily carried his cross all the way to the end. And I want all of you to know, while Charlie died far too early, he was also ready to die. There was nothing he was putting off. There was nothing that was too hard or too painful, or nothing that he just felt like he didn't want to do it. He left this world without regrets.
The woman got a death stare, boy. That's like Scorpio. Like,
I will miss
never
him.
seen no blue eyes that intense. That woman got a stare.
I will miss him so much,
and she knows
because our marriage and our...
She knows exactly when to use that eye contact. You see how she looks around. She's like, applaud. Like, that's supposed to hit you. Okay. Right. Did you hear me? So, like I said, she's a polished speaker for sure. And that, I think that Scorpio intensity really makes it seem so much more powerful than it would be had anybody else delivered these words.
If they could just dare to live it out, it would enrich every part of their life in the same way that it enriched ours.
I saw someone comment that she's wiping all the tears away that didn't fall, and wiping her nose, and there's nothing on her face to even wipe, you know, basically trying to say she wasn't really crying. But I'm like, look at this beat though. This makeup is pretty dope. Like, I don't think I'd be letting nothing ruin it either. You're not a girl. If you're not a girl, first of all, you can't even speak on that. I get very emotional at certain times, and it catches me completely off guard. But yeah, I'm definitely one of the people that I'm gonna, like, especially if I know my makeup's done and I spent some good money or some good time on my makeup, I'm gonna make sure nothing touches that. We're gonna keep that nice and good looking. So, and it doesn't even matter what the situation is. Like girls are always thinking like that. So I wouldn't take that as like any proof of any like disingenuous genuine, effects here. Like this woman is definitely mourning. I can't say she's not. And again, I'm gonna keep relying back on this Scorpio Sun and Mercury for sure.
And someone once asked me how Charlie and I, how we kept our marriage so strong when he was busy traveling. And our little secret, it was love notes. Every Saturday, Charlie wrote one for me and he never missed.
Now, to me, this right here is genuine breakdown right here. And again, see, this is the other part. I don't believe a Scorpio Sun, Scorpio Mercury woman is going to fake be in love, is going to fake be mourning her husband. Like that is a possessive Sun and a possessive Mercury. This is all very near and dear to her. He is her. She merged with that man. And so like you can see, I feel like this is for sure the most genuine emotion you've seen. Like right here, this is a complete, like, and not saying that the other emotions were genuine, but you can tell right here, this is for real, because he not writing me my Saturday love letters no more. Like every night, a Saturday already rolled around, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Right? Like, and I think she says it here. Like, this is the first one I didn't get
a Saturday. And in every single one of them, he'd tell me what his highlight was for the week, how grateful he was for me and our babies. And always at the end, he would always end it with asking the most beautiful question. He'd always end it by asking, "Please let me know how I can better serve you as a husband." Charlie perfectly understood God's role for a Christian husband. A man who leads so that they can serve.
perfect pause there. Like, I know y'all heard that. That was bars.
To all the men watching around the world, accept Charlie's challenge and embrace true manhood.
That eye contact. Look, I'm telling you, that eye contact is not to be played with. She said, and embrace true manhood. She not playing with y'all. That is like a Joan of Arc, like Helen of Troy. I don't know, whichever one of them was like calling everybody to get to it. It's time to go. She said, I embrace his challenge and true manhood. Whew. Y'all messed up big time.
Be strong and courageous for your families. Love your wives and lead them. Love your children and protect them. Be the spiritual head of your home. But please be a leader worth following. Your wife is not your servant. Your wife is not your employee.
Look at them eyes. Was she not playing with
Your wife is not your slave. She is your helper. You are not rivals. You are one flesh working together for the glory of God.
I'm sorry, but you're not going against this. And then she got 2 kids coming up behind her. No.
I was Charlie's confidant. I was his vault.
Said, but it's giving Candace, you heard me. Miss Owens, you heard me. As the missus.
I poured into him and loved him so deeply, empowered him, because his love for me drove me to be a better wife. Every day he honored me, and I prayed that I could be the wife that God needed me to be for my husband. Women, I have a challenge for you too. Be virtuous. Our strength is found in God's design for our role. We are the guardians. We are the encouragers. We are the preservers. Guard your heart. Everything you do flows from it. And if you're a mother, please recognize that is the single most important ministry you have.
That is so, like, when she says guard your heart, everything you do flows from it. That to me was the single most important thing in this whole speech. Definitely the challenge for men, but as a woman, her speaking too, because this was what she later says Charlie was battling, is these very angry men who, don't feel like there's anything worth living out here for them. And a lot of that has to do with how so many women are also not, like she said, not virtuous, not protecting and guarding their own hearts. And that also means guarding what's between your legs, so that you can give back from that place. If you all ran through and done out, right, and you are broken inside because you've given your love out to out to whomever, whenever, wherever, you're going to eventually become numb in more ways than one, or resentful. And then now, how do you genuinely raise up loving, upright, righteous children? How do you give a husband a foundation that he can, use to platform his own growth and in all of y'all prosperity, right? Because if you, again, just like you said, your heart is your strongest, is women's strongest muscle. You know what I mean? Like, men have muscle and strength, outward strength, but women have internal strength in a way that men really don't understand. And so if you don't guard that, because a man's not going to necessarily understand it, it's your job to guard that. And if you don't guard that and know how to allocate it to those who are worthy of it, then you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to be resentful, and then you're going to create a cycle where you're further alienating men, further hurting your children, creating more and more negative space and negative energy in the world. And that's exactly what's wrong now. So I feel like that was one of the most important points. Of course, men have to lead and be virtuous as well, but women have so much more power to guide men to being that, in our soft power. The soft power is what we underestimate.
In our home, because Charlie traveled a lot, we tried to travel with him where we could. But I made sure that when Charlie returned from work, it was his sacred landing place, away from the worries of the world. I didn't make him feel guilty for being away too long or too much, or getting home too late. I always told him, home is here for you, and it'll be ready for you. And I made it into this place where he wanted to be as soon as possible when he was on the road.
So she's giving instructions to that soft power. A lot of times we are upset that, the men in our lives are out in the world doing whatever they're doing. Now, of course, that doesn't go for, some guy that doesn't deserve you and he's just out here doing whatever out in the streets. But when you're talking about somebody who's genuinely showing you that they're putting you first and the house and the family first, and he's coming back to protect and care for y'all and make sure y'all secure, then you should be doing your part to make sure everything at home is secure, so that he has, like she said, somewhere he wants to return, that he wants to try to get back to as soon as possible. You can't be mad that your man out on the streets all night, all types of day and night, doing all types of extracurricular stuff, when every time he's at home, you're making it a living hell. So you want it to be that place that he's like, oh, finally. I mean, home sweet home. It should always feel like that for whoever you are. So especially as a woman, that's your domain to make sure that feels like that everything's in its place, that, there's a good meal there, that, everything is inviting, including you. And so that's that soft power that she's speaking of right there, that women need to kind of recalibrate ourselves to develop and be able to nurture, because we've gotten so far away with that, with the feminism, with these leftist ideologies, and in this whole individualism that gets away from family units and is pushing a lot of men out of the home that actually want to be there. Not saying all of them do, but the ones who want to be there won't be there if you don't follow some of these guidelines and understand that you need to be in your soft power. But that also is a balance, because if you are trying to keep the roof over your head too, and you got to go to work and you got to do all this stuff, and the man's not holding his end of the deal and being a provider and a protector, then you got to kind of step into those shoes yourself. And then of course you don't have the time or energy necessarily to do all those other things that that she's alluding to.
There was no keeping score between us. We were a team.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Working together for the same mission. I never wanted to be the one standing between Charlie and the task that God prepared for him, had set for him. And I knew Charlie would always do his best to help me with the same. He wanted everyone to experience that joy. And that's what's so beautiful about God's design for marriage, is that everyone can. And I could talk endlessly about it, and years to come I will. But Charlie's mission above all was aimed directly at those who aren't married. He named his organization well. He knew things were not right with America, and especially with young people, and they needed a new direction. Charlie passionately wanted to reach and save the lost boys of the West.
The lost boys of the West.
Young men who feel like they have no direction, no purpose, no faith, and no reason to live. The men wasting their lives on distractions, and the men consumed with resentment, anger, and hate.
Fresh and fit.
Charlie wanted to help them. He wanted them to have a home with Turning Point USA. And when he went onto campus, he was looking to show them a better path and a better life that was right there for the taking. He wanted to show them that. My husband, Charlie, he wanted to save young men just like the one who took his life. That young man. On the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do." That man, that young man, I forgive him.
Now that took a lot. I wonder who she looked at in the front row before she said it. Someone said maybe his parents were there in that role or in that direction. I think again, this is like genuine emotion. Like she if it's not, she sold it to me and I'm a pretty good reader of people, but like this, this takes a lot of courage, takes a lot of strength to even say that. And of course, there's a part I believe of her that is like, hell no, forget him. You know what I'm saying? Hey, yes, they deserve to die. I hope they burn it out. Like, that is definitely the vibe in there, especially as, like I said, a Scorpio sun, Scorpio moon, Aries, or Aries moon, Scorpio Mercury, okay, Aries Mars, or whichever one it is. But like, genuinely, I feel like she knows she has to say this, and she knows it's the truth, that she has to forgive him because he is, like she said, he's one of those young men that Charlie himself was very invested in. And it's the Christian way. And again, like I said, we want to create this stark contrast between the left and the right, the godly and the ungodly. They wouldn't do this. That was definitely the highlight right there. And don't think I'm being a gangster right now, because she broke me down a couple times when I watched it this morning. I was just like, "Ooh, I'm glad I watched it," before so I could prepare myself. But like, even now, I'm like, "Whew." So yeah, it is very emotional. Well, for those who were saying those were no real tears, there's your real tears. You can see her face is actually wet right there. But yeah, I don't believe this woman is faking. Like, I just think she's a very good speaker. She's a very poised public speaker, and she's got so much fire in her that it just seems like, why she isn't mourning so much. Why isn't she, so like, you guys in your mind expect this like broken down widow, like, oh no, you've awakened a lioness.
I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love. Love for our enemies and love for those who persecute us. The world needs Turning Point USA. It needs a group that will point young people away from the path of misery and sin. It needs something that will lead people away from hell in this world and in the next. It needs young people pointed in the direction of truth and beauty. And so I promise you today, every part of our work will become greater. I am tremendously honored to be the new CEO of Turning Point USA.
When you talk about a man picked the right wife, Charlie definitely hit the mark on this. She got the training, she got everything. Like, everything was lining up.
I do not
perfectly.
take that lightly. Charlie and I were united in purpose. Mm-hmm. His passion was my passion, and now his mission is my mission. Everything that Turning Point USA built through Charlie's vision and hard work, we will make 10 times greater through the power of his memory. Chapters will grow. Thousands of new ones will be created.
Hi, it's Mark Barden from St.
Yeah, you thought you was killing a movement. It's crazy.
If
that's what y'all goal was, y'all
TPUSA Faith will add thousands of new pastors and congregations. And yes, campus events will continue. And we will continue to hold debates and dialogue.
You ain't stopped the gut. Oh, excuse me. She said, you ain't stopped the damn thing. Okay, Woo! Yeah, this is not your average widow, okay? This is, you woke up a dragon.
The First Amendment of our Constitution is the most human amendment. We are naturally talking beings, naturally believing beings.
Mm-hmm.
And the First Amendment protects our right to do both. No assassin will ever stop us from standing up to defend those rights, ever. Because,
and see, that's the thing. Y'all keep calling Trump and them some fascists, but they should literally, Charlie Kirk, Turning Point, Erika Kirk, Trump, they're all very much First Amendment protectors, Second Amendment protectors. How are you saying these are your fascists when they're literally protecting the First and Second Amendment is the main thing that creates fascism, that allows for fascism. If you tear those two down, then you can go on with the rest of your plan. The left is who is trying to tear down 1 and 2.
when you stop the conversation, when you stop the dialogue, this is what happens. When we lose the ability and the willingness to communicate, we get violence.
Mm-hmm.
And as I stand here now and I look at this beautiful photo of my husband in front of me hanging in the stadium, I think of my husband 13 years ago. I hadn't met him yet. He was 18 years old, a man barely out of high school, running around the halls of the RNC without $1 in his pocket and a single contact in his phone. People who saw him said that he didn't know what he was doing, but he did. He did know what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Exactly what he did. That's what, like, y'all can't tell me there is no way this woman is in on it, that she is some contriving, like, she may be taking advantage of an opportunity, but it's only because she knows this is what her husband would have wanted. I feel like this is somebody who is like lockstep with him. And look at this face. She said he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. Don't y'all ever, she's like, I never hear you say nothing like that about no Charlie Kirk. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not buying the, she's an opportunist, and she's somehow a conspirator against him. It's not floating over here.
He was going to change the world, and he did. Charlie's life was a turning point for this country. It was a miracle. Let that miracle that was Charlie's life be your turning point as well. Choose prayer. Choose courage. Choose beauty. Choose adventure. Choose family. Choose a life of faith. Most importantly, choose Christ. I love you, Charlie, baby. And I will make you proud. God bless you all, and God bless America.
All right. And so I'm gonna have to probably edit a lot of this down. But yes. So you saw it there. Erika Kirk, as far as I'm concerned, is passionate about her husband's mission as he was, if not more. I think I saw an interview or a podcast or something where they were both on, or he was on, and he said that, excuse me, that Erika was more conservative than he was. So, you guys awakened a sleeping giant, a sleeping dragon. For the Game of Thrones and the House of Dragon fans, yeah, like this is like Cersei, like slash like, Daenerys, like you put all of the women of the realm on one dragon back. Like this is her. So yeah, I again, like Scorpio, like I said, those Scorpio influences are very loyal, very fiery, very intense, very passionate, very transformative. And so yeah, there's a lot to happen between now and 2028 and beyond, but that woman is going to be very crucial to what goes on with this, this merging. I don't think we're going to have a full out theocracy, but it's definitely leading to that. I mean, but the United States was based on Christian values. We've gotten very far away from that, and there needs to be a balance, and this is definitely going to push things back towards the right, if she has her way, and if she does what she set out to do, which I don't doubt she can do. Like she's got it all. Like I said, she's went to school for this, and look at who her husband was, and look at where she is right now, and look at how she's impressing you guys to the point that you think that she went against her husband, went against the Bible, and did something, some type of contrite, conspiracy to put herself in this position, when to me, it's just given divine alignment and timing, and her and Charlie's ambition kind of coming together to create this moment, wherein it seems too good to be true, or too perfect, and too made for TV. Of course, like I said, you're going to get that flare when you got people speak literally flares at the memorial service, when you got people like the Trump administration, involved. And, America, Hollywood and the media are like, the fourth branch of government. So, that you can't pretend now you don't see what's happening here. They, the Obamas were using Netflix and sound stages to get their messages across. And so I just think they're just playing fair, and you can't get no more fair, and more checkmate than Jesus Christ himself in America. So, let's go, because you definitely have to push back on the social anarchy. These Marxists are out here tearing up cities, and they want everything to be torn down and to fail. They want to get rid of all, capitalist principles. They want to, have people completely reliant on their chosen leaders and their food supplies, and following their rules and doing what they want you to do, and take away your guns and take away your free speech, for the community. People got to fight back and understand what's happening before it's too late, because I mean, you're seeing it with how they're pushing back on crime reform, and getting back to actually like policing, and throwing violent criminals in jail like they're supposed to be, and restoring justice, because the more chaos you have and the more fear you have, the easier it is to control everybody. So that being said, what are your thoughts on Miss Erika Kirk? Do you believe she's being contrite or conspiratorial? Do you have any theories on the whole Charlie Kirk thing? I may do a video on some of the different physics, that people are kind of spewing out here about what actually happened and whether Tyler Robinson's the actual guy. But based on what Ms. Erika Kirk stated, she is sure that they have the right guy. and that it was people like him that her husband was trying to save, and she forgives him because she knows that's what Christ and her husband would have wanted. What do you think you'd be able to forgive somebody for that in this situation? And what do you think Miss Erika Kirk has in store for her as far as political aspirations, if any, or what kind of influence do you think Turning Point will have on politics in the next few years? So all of that you can leave in the comments. Make sure, like I said, you like, share, and subscribe. And thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.